Hi. First of all, congratulations for clicking on this video क्योंकि ये स्टील लाइक एन आर्टिस्ट का एक्सप्लेनेशन है. वॉच द एंटायर बुक जो अभी अगस्त के मंथ के अंदर आने वाली है. और अगर अच्छा लगे तो प्लीज़ लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब यार, और प्लीज़ शेयर करो अपने दोस्तों से, बिकॉज इफ़ यू डू सो इट विल जस्ट बेनिफिट देम and us, and they'll thank you later. Bye. Today we are covering the ninth chapter of the book Steal Like an Artist. Now, with this chapter, and I have realized this as we go from the sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth chapter, is that as the book is going on, the ideas are not connected. Do they? They do belong to the like same heading, but the first idea has nothing to do with the second idea, and the second idea has nothing to do with the third idea. For that reason, making a diagram was not necessary or needed in this context, because there is no diagram because it is just pointer, 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 and then you understand whatever like is going in the each pointer. So that is why I've not made any diagrams for this particular page, and when I go through it, I think you'll understand why I do so. What I did around a week back, as most of you know, whoever has been in my class or YouTube for a long time, I love watching movies like anything. I love watching series. I'm a big foodie. I made a big decision in my life that I am going to quit entertainment altogether. I am like, I no more can eat outside. I cannot order food from outside. No Swiggy, no Zomato, no packaged food, cooking at home. For example, making noodles at home, not an option. Not watching movies, series, music, songs, nothing. And in the past 1 week, what I have experienced is my life actually turning. How we say there is a turning point in your life. But one of the things is when boring comes to pass in your life, you realize that when people say, na, artists need to sit around and do nothing, usually people take it in the understanding of taking a break. Or whenever anybody says that, being boring inspires creativity, usually people think, okay, I'll get bored for 5-10 minutes and now creativity will happen. That is not how it is. And this is my first hand experience. What is happening with me is that, for example, after this lecture, entire day, I'm like, okay, I have nothing to do now because there is no movie, nothing. So your mind rewires itself to look at the world very differently. So for example, you might not be sleeping at a particular time because you were thinking that, okay, I'll watch reel or movies and I'll sleep watching Friends. As soon as you start getting bored and now you know that the entire night there is nothing else to do, like either it is your bed and you, or the book, or some lecture, that's it, or work. Other than that, there is nothing. No TV, nothing. Your brain rewires itself into thinking, okay boss, I can sleep, or I can create something, make it interesting. When your brain thinks like that, what has started happening in my life is I've been traveling more. The last series that I watched was Criminal Justice, and believe me, there were 3 episodes of season 2 pending, and then season 3 was to be watched. I finished the entire 11 episodes in one night. Okay, started at 9 a.m., ended at 6 a.m. in the morning, slept hazardously in the next following morning, and that is how it happened. Now, usually, that is how my weekends went for a very long time now. And this time, I know I do not have anything to do. So, what I did, I texted my friends that let's go for a night out. That is how simple it is. When they say boringness or being bored inspires creativity, this is, I believe, what the author is trying to assert. That when you get bored like hell, when you know there is no other way, you start to survive, to entertain yourself. You go to the mountains, to the beaches, you create something, you enjoy your life, you do something. So for me, one rule that I have set is, because I am a foodie, so I don't want to be a killjoy, because I have a friend who's like who's into fitness like anything. He's a very amazing bodybuilder. For example, we were at a wedding, and you know how people give prasad when in the wedding, when the ceremony is done. Similar, like all the Indian tradition, all the religions in India, they follow the same thing. Just the sweets differ depending upon the religion. They gave him the sweet, he refused. He's like, no, I don't eat. And they're like, Arey, like, it is like from the wedding, yaar. I was like, nahi, nahi, meko nahi khana hai. I don't want to eat. So at that time, I made like an amendment clause in my habit that whenever I go outside with my friends, I can eat anything. You know, don't be a killjoy. Ke, nahi, nahi, I don't eat that. I cannot go into that restaurant. I cannot stand in this place and eat. Everything is fine with me. Hygienic, non-veg. You know, you want to like go and sit at the beach and eat something. You want to eat something very oily. All is good. The only condition is I have to be out. Okay, cannot bring food home. What I'm trying to say is now life is happening. So when people say get a life, this is how you get a life. Get bored like anything and then start doing things with people. So eating at your desk like an amazing bowl of soup and eating at a restaurant, dining at a restaurant, those are two different experiences. Now when we are talking about art, be boring is something that I understand what the artist means. This goes to say that take care of yourself. And I can attest to this that this is true. Usually the notion of an artist is something of a very chaotic or a very different person. Somebody who's, you know, like for example, Jordan from Rockstar, Ranveer Kapoor's character. So whenever you think of artists, you think of artists as people who are, you know, drinking all night, partying all night, then half awake, they are creating some art or something, and then they are sleeping like on top of the terrace or something. It doesn't happen. I am an artist, I can tell you, it does not happen. The only difference between a normal person and an artist is we get to do what we love, and that happens to be art. For example, for me, teaching is art, painting is art, photography is art, designing is art, designing thumbnails is art, and structuring this lecture has been art as well, because for the past 10 minutes I've been telling you stories. But do I need to, you know, tear my clothes out and give a theatrical performance for that to happen? Not compulsorily. Okay, there might be people who might do it for the effect of it, but art has nothing to do with that chaos. That chaos comes from the personality of a person. So when you think about being creative particularly, right? Being creative, the first thing that you need to understand is take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Take care of your mental health. Take care of your money. Take care of everything that goes into it, because that will give you enough time and bandwidth to create art. Because to create art drains you like anything. It does fill you and it does fill your soul. 100% agreed. But at the same time, art makes you tired like anything. That is 100% true. When you're working, for example, recently I've been working on my thumbnail for YouTube. And if you have recently witnessed the YouTube thumbnails, they have changed because I have started putting like 2 to 3 hours in one thumbnail. I am listening to audiobooks and working on the thumbnail and everything. So the thing is, my back has started paining. So creativity does not go, okay, you know, create art and life will be amazing. No, Baba, there are consequences. Okay. If you sit on a desk, you are still sitting you are a normal human being. You just do not become Superman. Okay, I'm creating art, nothing will happen. Everything will happen. If you want to create art, you will need more power, more energy than normal people, for example. And I take this example because I've been an accountant and an auditor for 3 years. And then I have been an artist and a teacher for the next 5.5 years completing now. That is why I take this example. Those days were the most horrible days of my life work-wise, but they were not emotionally draining for me, because they are like, okay, Sarshar, fill a GST form. Okay, or fill ITR returns, or let's just say go and audit something, do stock check, audit a company or something, and you go there and it is very mechanical work. Okay, desk job. So you're like, okay, punching numbers in the calculator and all. If you miss a number, let's just say, and in accounting this is something considered very heavy, that if you miss a digit, a decimal, 1 becomes 100 and 100 becomes 1000. That can happen, and I have done those mistakes. It never used to hurt. For filing clients ITR, I made a mistake of 29,000, which got rectified because we were in the time and we were trainees back then. But the thing is, like, my boss told me, "Arey, this is not how you can work and all," but it never hurt my heart because it was mechanical. But if I take a picture and somebody says the picture is not good or the design is not good, it is going to kill me inside, because that is emotional. Art is emotional. So when you work as a designer, okay, and this is one step more for being a teacher. I'll tell you how later on. But when you are an artist, when you sit to work, the faculties that you put in is not only your brain, it is your body. Like a lot of photographers, when they take photos, they stop breathing, including me, because we want full on attention. So I also like, you'll see this with a lot of photographers. For example, I'm taking this stance, I'm not breathing, I'm holding the pose. Okay, so your body gets involved, your brain gets involved, your mind gets involved, your emotions get involved, and when you get done with 1 hour or 2 hour of work, you are drained. Okay, you do not have the energy to continue go on. Okay, definitely it feels you it, like when I take lectures or when I do photography or designing, I sleep smiling, thank god for that. But my back is still paining on the sofa. Yeah, getting me. So what I mean to say is, when the artist says now be boring or take care of yourself, first of all, it goes to say, you do not have to be this eccentric person who's partying all night and enjoying and living that Instagram worthy life. You do not have to go jump from a cliff to get inspired. You can take a normal job, be a very boring guy. You can be more boring than the stereotypical accountant. Accountants are not boring, by the way, but stereotypically, if you are thinking that accountants are boring, you can be more boring than that, because that will give you enough bandwidth to breathe and put the energy into your work. Okay, people think that if you go to, let's just say, Himalaya, you will get inspired to create something. That might be true, because I have not been to Himalaya. I don't know if it is true or not, but that might be true. But I know for sure that boring life, what is creativity? Creativity is when there is some problem with you that you do not fit into the world, and then you want an escape, and then you create things that give you that escape. So for example, let's just say there is a guy sitting in like a Mumbai home, concrete home. Okay, he has like a very very hectic schedule. He hasn't had food in like 3 hours, had coffee like 4 times by now, and he's writing Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara song. That is very different from his reality. And that is where inspiration comes from, because inspiration is coming from a dream, an idea, something that you want to bring in. So inspiration does also come from a very blank room. We have a photography exercise in which they lock the photographer in a room. The room is almost like this, totally blank. Okay, no character whatsoever, not even the furniture. And they say, take a picture and take 100 pictures, and every picture has to be different than the other one. This is where creativity comes in. Okay, so take care of yourself, live that normal life. You do not need to be James Bond or the stereotypical hero. That is what the author is saying. Cool, people? Abhi, now listen up. Okay, it is for superhumans, that kind of lifestyle, or the people who want to die young. The thing is, it takes a lot of energy to be creative. You do not have that energy if you waste it on other stuff. You have to live a very very good normal life. Do not go into the pursuit of being very fancy or eccentric or something like that. That is the first point. Second, and I cannot stress this enough, this has kept my creativity going. It is nothing, no points in this chapter are related to one another. So that was a standalone point there. Now there is a different point. It has to deal with money, and it says stay out of debt. And when you start working in a creative field, one thing that really hampers you is others people opinion on your work. You will really feel that when you work as a graphic designer or even a photographer. You hate it. Okay, because, and I have had instances when I create a design, like for example, the thumbnails that I'm making on YouTube video right now. It is just my wish, whatever I want to create. If it works, works. If it doesn't work, doesn't work. My wish. Why? Because I'm working for myself. And also because my earning does not depend on YouTube. That is, somebody asked in a comment some days back, how do you keep going? Because we do not have views on our channel yet. The very simple answer is my earning does not depend on YouTube. I earn from some other place. That is why my brain is stable. I can just do YouTube or this just for the fun of it. I do not have to think, okay, the money is not coming from YouTube, or if this thumbnail goes, if this doesn't blow, am I going to pay my rent or something? I don't have to think that. And that is the same thing when it comes to you working in a company. Okay, because when you work in a company, there are going to be people who are gonna feel creative, though they are not technically advanced enough to do that, and they are going to give you opinions on how you should do this certain thing. For example, managers, and this is a epidemic in when it comes to like designing industry, that every Tom and Dick and Harry thinks that he is a better designer than you just because they think they understand designing better. Okay, for the people who come from my courses, they know color psychology. Every color has a meaning, right? And it is dependent on context. But what the like for example what the client or the manager will say is add pink to it. There is no reason, no logic to add pink. They just want pink to be added, and you will have to do that. At that time, imagine it is 8 hours. Okay, your back is paining, your head is paining, you're angry, you're frustrated, you hate the manager, and on top of it, this work is related to your soul, related to your emotions, and you cannot quit because you have to pay a debt. You have then taken a loan, education loan, home loan, car loan, phone loan, whatever it is, and now you cannot quit that job even if you get a better opportunity with less money. Reason? Because you have money to pay. One of the things that really helps you being creative is, first of all, having money in your pocket. This is 100% true. Second, not being dependent on somebody. Okay, when you have that in your life, you can quit any job whenever you want it if you have the certainty that you will be able to get another job somewhere else. That is one thing. Most people I know hate to think about money, and creative people literally have this notion of running away from money. Do yourself a favor, learn about money as soon as you can. And by the way, if there is anybody on YouTube or here who is struggling on how to think about money, we have done an entire book covering money called The Psychology of Money, this book, which I explained exactly like this book. My grandpa used to tell my dad, son, it's not the money you make, it's the money you hold on to. Make yourself a budget, live within your means, pack your lunch, pinch pennies, save as much as you can, 100% true. Get the education you need for as cheap as you can. So, for example, for the people who are trying to get into higher level art colleges, film institutes, and they cannot go for if they don't have the money, don't worry. You can learn film even by making it. You can learn photography just by working out in photography or experimenting, or from YouTube. You do not need to take a course to learn any of the artsy stuff. Okay, so if you do not have the money, please don't get depressed. It is not a suggestion to go and waste your money 3 4 5 lakhs for a year's course in some college which have fancy name. Seriously. And this is particularly I'm saying because this is a book Steal Like an Artist. So most people, probably artists, will be watching it. Do not unnecessarily spend stuff just for the name of it. The art of holding on to the money is all about saying no to consumer culture. Just say no, it is okay. Alright. Saying no to take out $4 lattes, that shiny new computer when the old one is working fine. Why do I say that? A lot of time now, the notion of being an artist is, for a lot of people, specifically writers and designers, is sitting in Starbucks in front of that mirror with a AC on top of their head and creating art and silently working to that lo-fi music. For people who are newcomers in the designer industry or any industry related to art particularly, you will not have that luxury. Okay, and you will have to create art every single day. The best thing you can do at that time is not get depressed. Do not spend money. Starbucks doesn't make you creative. Your art does, your learning does. The reason I'm saying this is, when I entered art, making money in arts in the beginning is not easy. For any field, it is not easy because one of the things that is very different as compared in creative industry versus other is, for example, if you tell me that you are an accountant, can you get a job in accounting? I can just make a phone call and get you a job in accounting. Why? Because I know account is not that hard. You will be able to do the job. But if some photographer comes to me, tells me he wants to be a photographer, and he tells me, will I get the job? I'll literally tell him, see, first of all, it is a creative industry. Second, I don't know your work will be liked by the client or not. That is why nobody can guarantee jobs in this industry. Yes, internships are given and all that is given, but jobs particularly, or commission, or how you are going to be successful is very subjective. And that is why when people come in, initially they get very, very, very depressed, because you don't know where the hell you are going. What movies show you where art is made, let's just say in a New York cafe, or like in a very beautiful setting, sun, you're sitting on a railway track and making art, having a coffee by your side. That is not in cinematography. Only as the director, how much time it takes to actually scout the scene, go on the setting. The person who's sitting with a cafe and coffee in their hand on the rail track with the sun setting in the background might not even have coffee in that cup. He might only be acting. That is how real it is. So do not go after that lifestyle. Stay out of debt. Save as much money as you can because you'll need it for gears. And if you have bought gears, do not unnecessarily upgrade. Literally, I have an iPad that is what I believe 8-9 years old. Works amazingly. All the thumbnails are made on this. You don't need to upgrade to an iPad, which is this is second generation, before the bezels were removed. Okay, you don't need unnecessary stuff. Believe me. And I'll just give you one pointer. When I was buying my MacBook, I have a M1 MacBook Pro. I was given the advice, ke buy a smaller MacBook with a 14-inch screen. You do not need a very big screen. And I was like, no, I'll need a big screen because I'm a video editor. So I'll need that. But at the same time, M3 had come out. And M3 had come out and M4 was going to come out. So M3's like prices were dropping, and I had the money, I could have bought an M3. But the logic is same. I am not directing documentaries, so I do not need that machinery bandwidth. The work that I'm doing, first of all, I'm a teacher. I do not need devices. Okay, I could easily be taking a lecture on a HP old computer. It would have been simply fine. I saved around what, 2 lakhs maybe, just because I did not go for that fantasy of I am working, I have an M4 computer. It is okay, you don't need an M4 device. Whatever your working is, obviously you need to plan ahead and buy devices accordingly. But if your work is getting done, and in the foreseeable future for the next 5 years your work can get done on this device, please save your money, because something eventually is going to happen in life where you might lose your money, you might lose your job, or some problem might come and you will suddenly realize you don't have money. When you have money in your bank, believe me, it is a superpower. The third one, keep your day job. Now, there are a lot of people who just quit their jobs. Thankfully, yeah, I was one of them. Then I was not one of them. I'll tell you how. So when I stopped chartered accountancy, I just quit. And my principals, my bosses were amazing people. Luckily, they were amazing. So I went to my boss and I was like, I cannot do this anymore. It is very, very, very stressing for me mentally, and like I need to quit. And they were like, don't worry. And I was like, how much time do I serve? And hardly 10 days or 15 days were remaining. And they were like, just do this. It is okay. Because they were able to know that I was not really enjoying it. And then I quit, and then I jumped into photography. Like just quit and joined. I lost my health. Like in 12th, I used to go for fitness. I literally became very skinny. My mental health was shaken as in the normal stress wala shaken, not a depression or something, thankfully. But I like, it is such a lot of pressure to quit your profession and go into passion that it takes everything away from you. And I was 25. I remember like some 2 or 3 days back, and if you're watching this, hi, somebody commented that they are 24 and they are very worried what they are going to like earn, and if they are going to clear that job or something. I was 25 and I quit, and I had nothing, like literally zero income. Okay, you don't know where the hell are you going. So even one photography assignment used to feel like a miracle. That is the first time I switched my career. Now after that, I never switched my careers completely. I just kind of increased my envelope, as to speak. So when I got into graphic designing, I did not leave photography. I was still working, doing freelance photography, and I started working as a graphic designer. When I joined teaching, I left graphic designing 6 months after I started teaching, because it keeps your mental stability. There is nothing wrong with working in an office. So please, like as the author says, keep your day job. And I'll just read it to make this point more understandable. The truth that even if you are lucky enough to make a living off doing what you truly love, it will probably take you a while to get to that point. Very true. Until then, you will need a day job. Why? It gives you a rhythm. It basically gives you a structure, a backbone, a foundation to stand on. And most of all, it gives you your own money. Okay. A day job, now the author is speaking, a day job gives you money, a connection to the world, a routine, which is very important. Freedom from financial stress also means freedom in your art. A photographer, Bill Cunningham, says if you don't take money, they cannot tell you what to do. Exactly like in designing and other fields. Now, he goes on to speak. A day job puts you in the path of other human beings. Learn from them, steal from them. Now, what does he particularly mean? So, when I started photography, particularly, one thing that I learned particularly was that when I started, I worked with someone, and going with them gave me an idea. They did not obviously pay me, and the very reason I left was it was not healthy. But just going with them got me to understand that okay, this is how shots are done, this is how shoots are done, and I can do it also. So whatever I used to learn, like I hardly worked 2 days without payment, hardly 2 days in my life. But once I did that, I was able to just take everything else and bring it home and work there. So the author, like here he says that working in a library teaches you a certain thing, working as a content writer teaches you a certain thing, working as a designer teaches you a certain thing, working as a teacher teaches you a certain thing. So do not think of job as some shackle or something that is keeping you in jail or something. It is not like that. Okay, if you work in any company, okay, it will teach you something, and I'll add to it. I'll add to it very passionately on this point. When I became a photographer, I suddenly realized that photography was not only photography. It was calling the client, cold call, negotiation, a lot of stuff. Okay, and whenever I had to go to a client's meeting, believe me, that was the easiest part for me, more than photography. Reason being, I was 3 years trained as an auditor. So going and talking to different people and holding meetings was not new for me. And that thing helped me like anything when it comes to photography. Because usually when in art, let's just say you get a call from somebody who will basically pay you peanuts, okay, but they tell you okay, come to my office. Now you suddenly go and there is this glass building, 24 story high tower, and they are telling you come on the third floor and let's have a conversation. Your heart will start pumping because you look at yourself who's not earning anything or barely nothing. They are also not going to pay you anything. So it is not like you go into a glass building and they are going to pay you lakhs or something. Okay, but just the process of going through that lobby, getting into that lift, knocking on that door, entering in, introducing yourself, sitting on the chair and having a conversation with them, that requires confidence. I thankfully had no problem with that because I was an auditor before. So I was like, okay, new meeting. The only thing is my field has changed. The work is the same. I learned that from my day job, from my training. Same way the author says, people now, whenever they say they want to be a photographer, they want to be a designer or anything, suddenly the entire next job world becomes bad. Okay, because if your dad is telling you, okay, listen now, you do your art and all, but join in as a designer, or sorry, join in as an engineer right now or a doctor right now. Why? Because you have the degree, you have the course, I have the connection. Do it. Okay, please do it. Please don't think it is this way or that way. There is a quote that goes, a person who keeps legs on both boats basically gets a cut from like in between the body. Does not happen. Okay, life is very long. I am a designer, a photographer, a teacher. Nothing has happened. The only thing has happened is it has improved my chances of working and dealing with people. So the thing is, your mental stability is more important. So if you have to work as an engineer for 6 hours or 8 hours, do it. Okay, if you are really passionate about art, if you are really passionate about creativity, you will find time to create work. Okay, I literally remember in the later days of my quitting my job as in the accounting firm, I literally used to paint on cups. I still have those cups. Okay, very bad drawing, the worst drawing in the world. Okay, but I used to get bored and I'm drawing on cups. I remember I drew like for this stoicism for artists, this mountain, right? This mountain I drew like this is I believe this is 3-4 years before even starting this YouTube channel. But I used to like codes and like that vibe. We used to have a whiteboard in our company. I used to draw on that whiteboard, and then clients used to come and like, who drew this? And I like, we have a very talented and non-talented in accounting photographer here. He does all that. So what I'm trying to say is, you'll find your way. It is not bad. Do not starve yourself. Do not throw yourself into a place ke, how am I doing accounting or auditing or doctorate or something like that. वैसा नहीं है. Do your day job. You will find your way out into creativity. When you have money in your pocket, it will make you better. And when it is time, when you have enough saving, when you have enough understanding, talent, network, quit your job. Okay, because by that time you will be able to sustain yourself in art now. So let's just say you are fresh out of college, or you are an engineer, and you suddenly decide one day, no, I cannot do this anymore, I'm quitting. And what will I do? Photography. What do I know about photography? Nothing. Don't do that. Do one thing, work as an engineer. On Saturdays, Sundays, take shoots or take assignments, takes designing options, design logos for people, do designing, stay 2 hours after the office, in your office, start your designing, do your designing work, go sit in the library, study. And when you have built your portfolio, when you are now getting money, getting clients, then quit your day job. That is how literally it goes. Okay. Also, one more thing I can speak from experiences. I right now, for the month of August, before that, because I had exams, I do not have anything to do. Like literally do not have anything to do. And we usually assume, that I have this 2-hour work, that is how I'm tired, or I do not have the time to do things. Just give me 24 hours or just give me a free day, see what I will do. You will do nothing because you're lazy. We all are lazy. What happens is, well, literally it happens with me. There is a code that if you give some time, something allotted time, for example, if you say this thing will get done in 8 hours, it will get done in 8 hours. I had to make a script for the video that is going to be uploaded today. Since morning, I woke up at 6 a.m. Haven't made the script yet. Just ideating, thinking. When I used to work in a school, I used to make the script in recess. Like I just sit, script done. Because you have only that much time. So when you have something in your life that already gives your day a structure, that boss, you have to come to the office at 9, you have to leave at 6. Automatically your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your jogging, your whatever it is, get aligned to that. That alignment is very important in getting any work done, including creative work. So do not, for anybody watching right now who is new in their job or starting to work, do not think, okay, I just have to go on a job, that is why I won't be able to create art. If I get free life, just give me 6 months and see what I do. You will not do anything in the 6 months. Because the way our brain function is, you will sleep in the morning, you will think about it, you will think about creating art, you will end up doing nothing. That is how literally it is for everybody. So join a J job. Do yourself a favor. If you are trained in something, that even if you're not passionate about it, earn money. And that is exactly what the author is also trying to say. The solution is really simple. Figure out what time you can crave out, what time you can steal, and stick to your routine. Do this every day, no matter what. No holidays, no sick days, no, don't stop. What you will probably find is that the corollary to Parkinson's law is very usually true. Work gets done in the time available. So if you need to make art, you will make art. Nobody is saying it's going to be fun. I'm not saying it's going to be fun. I'm saying it is going to be mentally okay for you. A lot of time it will feel like you're living a double life. But as poet Philippe Larkin says, the best thing to do is try to be utterly schizophrenic. The people, I think that is the disease. I don't know, for doctor people, don't get angry. It is when you have multiple personalities. Try to be utterly schizoid about it all. Use each personality as a refuge from the another. So take being an artist as a refuge from being an accountant. Take being an accountant as a refuge from being an artist. There's nothing wrong with that. The trick is to find a day job that pays decently. Don't make you want to vomit. Definitely don't go into something that is toxic or is killing you, and leave you with enough energy to make things in your spare time. Good day jobs aren't necessarily easy to find, which is very true, but they are out there. That is possible. The very reason I'm not working in a school right now is I'm more focused on being into freelancing. The very reason I say that is freelancing actually pays more. And the second thing is, people don't consider you a slave in freelancing. See, the thing is with bosses, unfortunately, the thing is, and I have experienced it in my like past jobs, all of them. Okay, sometimes my bosses were amazing, but that is the nature of bosses. Whenever you work in a job, the other person thinks that they are paying you for the time, and eventually these people get into an understanding of telling you what to do. Like, you are basically, it can be called 9 to 5 slavery. I do not have an issue with that, assertion, or with that way of saying. The reason is, they are like, Sarshar, give me a reminder that I need to do this tomorrow at 6 p.m. And I'm literally, bro, तेरे phone में reminder app है, डाल उसमें. You know, why are you telling me? I'm not your secretary. But bosses do have this. They'll tell everybody to assert that they are bosses. Just remind me to do this, or do this work, or do that. Now, till the time that work is your work that you love, it is, hunky dory. But as soon as the work is something else, because they know now they are paying you for 8 hours. If you're getting the work done in 6 hours, they suddenly have this urge to give you 2 more hours of work. And sometimes the work may not be related to what you do, which is a less probability. But what I'm trying to make you understand is this thinking that is hazardous. All right. And that is why when you work for a job, it is not only that you're giving them time, and this is me personally. Book is saying get a job. Okay, book is literally saying it will take your 8 hours away. Let it survive. That is what the book is saying. This is me personally. I think when you work in a job, they think you are theirs for the next 8 hours. Now, definitely, if you are an accountant, they are not gonna tell you go and make tea. That is not gonna happen. But being an accountant, it is going to be, do this, do that, or whatever it is, and work will keep flowing in. When you go into freelancing is based on work and hours, not days. For example, I'll tell you about, let's just say I am getting paid X amount for 1 hour. So if I teach 4 hours for that company, I'm gonna get multiplied into that amount. Simple as that. Okay. No strings attached, no extra commitment, no saying hi, hello to anybody, not needed. Okay. No office politics. One of the biggest benefit of not being in a company as an employee is no politics whatsoever. As a freelance, you're like, boss, this is your work. I have done this. Get done with it. Give me the money. I stay in my mental capacity. I stay good. So for that reason, freelancing can very well be the future. Okay. And freelancing might be a good option, but if you are doing freelancing, pay attention. You will have to be the bloody best. They do not have to keep you. Once you go into employment, there is an entire law. Employees Act, something I studied way back. So it has a lot of pointers. They cannot fire you because of on this grounds or something and something. Definitely the company size has to differ for that. But when you are in contract, things are very volatile. The other person can say, just take an example. Your house is painted by some painter. Next year, you hire somebody else. Similarly, so if you're doing an assignment and you're not doing good, they'll just go to someone else for that matter. So you'll have to be really good if you're going for freelancing. One more reason freelancing may be the future in the industry is because people, like, there is less drama and more the world as we are going through it now. Like, when you have a job, when you are giving somebody the job, it unfortunately gets your job to get the work done. So for example, I'll be calling, my assistant again and again, did the file happen? Did this happen? Did that happen? But as a freelancer, the freelancer will call you, sorry, your design is done, because he needs his money ASAP. Okay, he's on contract per sales basis. So for example, if it is a designer, the designer will get paid either in the terms of design made or either in the terms of hours, whatever the designer, and they have an understanding. So that is how it goes, which makes things very fluent. It's like I do not have a deal with the Parle G company that every day you supply me this amount of Parle Gs and I'll consume them, and that is how my house will run. The simple thing is, you go to the shop, you get a Parle G, whenever you need it, you get done. The same thing is with freelance, no headache. So I think that is why it might be freelancing can be the future. I don't know if it is particularly true, because Freelancing requires a lot of energy. There is nobody to hold you other than God. Okay, for example, when I was in accounting, I survived 3 years in an accounting field. Very reason my seniors were amazing. So believe me, when I used to do some work and I used to do very crappy work in accounting, I just used to call my seniors like, bro, just check now once. And they're like, yeah, I'll check. You know, freelancing, there is nothing like that. Nobody is checking. Maybe that is why we made the art hold. Okay, you can connect with people, but there is no senior, there is nobody to blame. It is you and you only. So for that, I think job will persist. I think freelance will also persist because the nature of humans, it depends. Wherever the world is going, it does not depend on what a system is set. It is dependent on how people work. And if a person, like for example, my father does not like freelance. He is just like, salary is okay because I am very sure के month के end में इतना पैसा मिलने वाला है. इस year में I'm gonna earn this much money. He is simple, okay? If you ask me what money I'm gonna earn next month, I have no clue, okay? I have no clue. And then basically he says, how do you people operate or how do you people plan? Because for my dad and other people, it was very simple, boss. Get a job and plan, like for example, I need to buy this property. This is going to be this much lakhs. I'm going to buy in this many years, save money according to this rate, and you will be able to achieve your goal. It is that simple. It is that simple. The first of all is my favorite. Get a calendar. Now, this thing, honestly, if I'm being very honest with you, this is a little hard to actually execute. Reason being, you keep forgetting. But if you get into a habit of having a calendar and marking X on it, this is something we covered in Atomic Habit. It basically says that all you have to do is you have to do a work on the day. So what you need to do is, even if you're getting bored, even if someday you do not feel like an artist or you do not feel like you want to create something, do it and mark an X on the calendar. Then next day do it again, mark an X on the calendar. Soon enough, what you will realize is you are building a streak, and then it will be hard to stop, which will eventually improve you. If you write a page a day, okay, just one simple page a day, in a year you will have a book that you can sell. A book, maybe a book this fat, you will have this fat of a book only if you just write one page a day. If you think about it, this thing, if anybody has a dream of writing a book, the dream has always been possible. But we wait for what? We wait for that eccentric, amazing vacation where we'll sit and write. Not gonna happen. Your life is boring, accept it. Write it in the boring life. Use that boringness of a calendar, of accountability, of basically logging things to make it a habit to create art. One more thing, keep a logbook. Now this is something that I do agree with and I find amazing. The reason is, what is a logbook, people? Log comes from logging, like basically writing whatever happened. That's amazing. So log basically means writing whatever happens. Now usually when people plan, they plan for the future. Okay, we are saying that do not particularly like log what is going to happen or what you're going to do. Log what has already happened. The reason is, you are able to get a very amazing clarity on your life with that, and you are able to understand what inspired you. So for example, with creative people, this is particularly true. For me, instances happen like on a fly. Okay, for example, I'm going to the washroom and I had an idea. Okay, or maybe I was roaming around with a friend and I had an idea, and for that day or the next day I told, let's just say I'm sitting with my family and I told them, okay, I was talking to him or her and she gave or he gave a very amazing idea to me. Then 1 week later, I do remember the idea, or maybe I applied it. I forget where the idea came from. Okay, now if I'm trying to regenerate that kind of vibe, I cannot, because I have no clue where that idea came from. And for creative people, now this happens 15 to 16 times in a day minimum. Okay, like it obviously fluctuates. There are days where I literally do not get any idea or anything. So what the author is trying to say is, write everything. Get into a habit of creating a log, because if you need, like for example, let's just say it's simple. If I need this, bottle, where will I go? I'll go to DMart and buy it. So next time if I lose this bottle and I need another bottle, where will I go? DMart. But if you forget that you bought this bottle from DMart, now you'll have to search the entire world for the bottle. That is true with the ideas. Everybody has impulses that particularly like incite them. So some people get ideas on a bike, some people get ideas skating, some people get ideas doing push-ups. Me particularly, personally, how people say you get ideas walking, I never get ideas walking. I get ideas while I'm bathing. Okay, mine is like, it is true with some people. I also get a lot of ideas. I have forgotten now. Yeah, that is why you need a logbook. Okay, that is why you need a logbook. And a log does not have to be a boring thing. Author shows this. This is his logbook. Okay, pages from his logbook. Do anything, write anything, whatsoever. You just need to write stuff. Okay, what you did, when you did. Okay, it will really help you. If you ask yourself, what's the best thing that happened today? It actually forces a certain kind of cheerful retrospection that pulls up from the certain past things to write about that you wouldn't otherwise think about. Okay, so if you think what happened amazing in my life, now your brain will pull out amazing things that happened to you. Okay, for example, if I ask you people, what was the best gift that you have gotten in life? Now suddenly memory sparked in your brain which will make you feel good. But if you ask yourself what happened today, it's very likely that you're going to remember something worst. Okay, because you have had to deal with it, you have had to rush somewhere, or somebody said something mean to you. That's what you're going to remember. That is our default. So if you ask what happened today, bad things come to mind. If you ask what amazing happened, then only good things will come to your mind. But if you ask what's the best thing is, it's going to be something particular, slant of a light, or some wonderful expression somebody had, or some particular delicious salad. That is why logging will be very helpful. Author says, who you marry is the most important decision you will ever make, and marry well does not mean your life partner only. It also means who you do business with, who you befriend, who you choose to be around. Relationships are hard enough, but it takes a real champion of a person to be married to someone who's obsessed with a creative pursuit. A lot of times you have to be a maid, a cook, a motivational speaker, a mother, an editor all at once. Now, why is he saying that? I know this because my mother is a poet. What happens in my house is, suddenly at 2 o'clock at night, the lights are on. Okay, and then you're looking like this, and my mother is sitting there writing something on the book. We are talking about living a boring life. And when we are living a boring life and still wanting to be an artist, you need someone who understands your pursuit. You need, because you will not, when you are at home, see, when you're working at job that we talked about before, when you're working in an office, you're only an accountant, a doctor, an engineer, a teacher, whatsoever. When you are at home, you are everything. When I'm at home, I'm cleaning, I'm cooking, I'm sometimes, washing clothes, I'm painting, I'm drawing. I am every single designation that you have. For example, if my father is sick, then I'm a doctor. Like, we all have that moment in our family where we decide if you need to have crocin or not. You are a doctor in that particular moment. So who you marry will literally dictate how you are going to behave in these situations. Definitely it is your own personality as well. But if your art flows and if the other person is interested in art as much as you and the pursuit is amazing, because my grandfather is also a poet and my mother is also a poet. My dad is not a poet, but he understands poets. Like, he is amazing with poetry. The conversation that I see happening with my grandfather and my dad, or my mother and my dad, or my mother and my grandfather, or even me at times, is very different as compared to normal people. Okay, because there is a quote by Zakir Khan, if you know him. Zakir Khan is a comedian. He is also somebody who's belonging to a musical family. So he says that by the time we grew up, we knew half of the sonnets written by Mirza Ghalib or Allama Iqbal, because that used to get recited in our house. Those are Urdu poets. The very same is true for me as well. Before I even knew it, I knew a lot of poetry, because those conversations happen in my house. For somebody who's a doctor, whose family who is like You might have seen this. If your uncle is a doctor, your auntie already knows the name of a lot of medicines. Okay, she knows where and how to, like for example, plaster something. She's not a doctor, but she knows. It will automatically come, and that is exactly what the author is trying to say. Who you marry, because you're gonna stay with them, right? So if you marry, somebody who inspires you, or somebody, I don't know what you should marry for. Search your own terms, okay? Otherwise, 2 years, 20 years later, you will call me and it's like, sir, bad advice. And now I cannot even get out of it. Search your own designations for getting married or something. But what it basically means is think well before marrying, okay, or marry well, because a good partner will keep you grounded. This is very, very true in the case when, for example, and this happens in my house. My mother has written some poetry, and she writes beautiful poetry. And she'll show it to, like, for example, somebody who came home who's not a poet, and they usually are like really nicely written, what a thought, and all and all. And you know what my dad or my grandfather would do? They'll tell her, no, this rhyme has to be changed here and this and that, because they know the technicalities of it, and they keep you grounded. Like, I remember my dad is also very artistic, and when I started my journey in photography, I remember one day, like, I was shooting, and I was shooting a perfume bottle with the water underneath it, like waves are going on, like you can see it on my Insta. And my dad came in and he looked at it and he's like, turn the light this way, the light will fall better. And it actually happened. I turned the light. I am a professionally qualified photographer, okay? But he he understands the field. So he's like, just do this, it will happen. And I do that. I was like, yeah, this is seriously better, much better. Acha, he is somebody who is not somebody who puts work in photography. Okay. So most of the photo he comes with, I have criticism for that. Okay, this could have been taken much better, because partially because I teach photography, my job is to evaluate students' work like every month. So when I look at a photo, I look at a photo from that angle. Okay, nahi, the rule of third is not good. You should have done this. The color theory is messed up or something. So I was having this discussion with him that he does not particularly get photography correctly, and I had a camera in my hand. Okay, and I was about to take a picture, and he was like, remove the lens cap first because the lens cap was still on. What it does is it keeps you grounded. It tells you whoever the hell you are, stay on the ground. Okay. A good partner keeps you grounded. A friend once remarked that living with an artist must make our house very inspiring. My wife joked, oh yeah, it's like living with Da Vinci or living with Picasso. So now he concludes and says that, this is basically how you spend a boring life. All these aspects are the aspects of a normal life. This goes to say you do not have to sacrifice any of it to be an artist. You can be an artist, okay? That old phenomena of, artists being heartbroken or something that you usually hear about, I don't know if that is true. I have never got my heart broken, but I can assure you my work still is good. So I don't know if you need to get, sliced up just for making art for that sake or something. I don't know about it. But boring life is not a bad life. It actually inspires you to be creative. Okay. And that is what the 9th chapter of the book says. आपको पता है आपने भी क्या किया? आपने एक पूरा चैप्टर देखा है of a book, Stay Like an Artist. And I hope to see you in the next class. Bye.